Hey guys, you're probably seeing in your force diagrams from your warm-up that forces isn't enough to explain the scenario of our rocket. So if you're looking at your diagram, you'll see that gravity is acting the whole time, and then the only force that we're really talking about that is making the rocket go up is this force of the air. You may have other arrows in there that are your air resistance and whatnot, but still we're seeing that even at the top, going down and coming down, all these force diagrams pretty much look the same. And that's not really good enough for us to explain the total motion and movement of our stomp rocket. So we need more. That's what we're coming up with. So what I'm having you do today is do a lab where you're at different stations and you are going to look at different scenarios and look at it with not through the eyes of force anymore, but we're actually looking at energy today. Okay, so your indicators of energy that you talked about the other day were light. If you see light, if you hear sound, if you feel heat with your hands, if you somehow can sense the electricity somehow, or you see motion, then you're probably seeing that you have energy in that system. So in your lab, you're going to get a sheet that looks like this. Okay. And notice I filled this one out for the stomp rocket. So you'll see that in the first row, I've drawn a diagram of my stomp rocket and my system. And I have labeled, like, here's the rocket, here's the launcher, here's the bulb that's connected to my launcher. Okay. After I draw my system, I want to make sure that you guys think in your own heads and decide what are the different moments in time. So we decided in our class that the foot stomping on the launcher and the rocket going up is one moment. Then when the rocket is going up, that's another moment. And then when the rocket is at its highest point, that's another moment. Okay, so we drew those force diagrams. What I'm going to have you do in class today is talk about energy, okay, in terms of is energy getting transferred in and out, or is energy getting stored in the system? So it's a little bit different than forces where you're not just drawing arrows, but you're really thinking, is stuff going in, is stuff going out, or is that stuff getting stored? Our stuff being energy, okay? If you have other observations that you're not really sure where to put in terms of is it going in or out, or if it's getting stored, you can put it here under other observations about energy. Okay, so your sheet might look like something like this when you get done, and your sub can pause it here so you can take a look at it more closely. But it's really simple responses, such as if I'm looking at the first part where the foot is stomping into the air, do I think energy is getting transferred in or out of my system? You could probably take a guess. For me, I think it moves into the system because I see with my eyes, one of my indicators of energy is I see that the foot moves, so the motion, but also the rocket moves, that motion. That's an indicator of something having energy or getting energy put in. Okay, so I'm going to have you do 6 stations in your lab groups, and you're going to rotate the bins throughout, and you're going to stay at your tables. Okay, so the sub should be able to give this sheet to you, and you should do this with your lab group. Okay, so I'm not here to answer any of your questions, but your sub is, and I'm sure they're a very capable and helpful person, so please ask them if you have questions, and hopefully I'll be back on Friday and help you get through any of the stations that you don't get through. All right, bye guys.